Hi, this is Juan Carlos, your host in The Bridge. And today I want to thank very much Diana Matei to join us. Thank you so much, Diana. I really appreciate your help by being here, by supporting all the people. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to provide my insights and to share about my journey.
I don't want to be me, the one who talks about you. I would prefer if you tell us who Diana Matei is.
Cool. So, hi everyone. I'm Diana. I'm a product consultant and coach, and I help B2C founders unlock growth through rapid idea validation. I help empower teams with lean product discovery processes to uncover opportunities and to validate ideas to save time and money. And for the last 10 years, I've been a product leader in a lot of different companies. So I have had the opportunity to apply product principles across different industries in different size companies and also working in B2C, but also on some internal products. Some of the industries or companies I work for are Tesco, Skyscanner, Gusto, ClearScore, and another smaller startup called Thoughtful. So that's given me a wide range of working on subscription-based businesses, marketplaces, and I just wanted to take all that knowledge and help startups as they're growing, because I think there's a lot of pains and there's a lot of, tested structures that you can apply to kind of supercharge your thinking and help validate ideas quicker that I think the right kind of focus, the right time can truly help and save time and money.
One question that I have for you is when is important for a startup to look for you? When will be the right moment? Because I think they should have at least an MVP ready or getting ready for that. When will be the best time?
It's it's a good question because I think there's just different stages, and I think there's like value in having someone to talk through the product thinking. So even before the MVP, as a founder, you want to go through the process of validating the problem space before you build something and defining your target audience. And there's ways in which you can get a lot of confidence of what that MVP should look like without even building code. And if you already have that approach, great, but that's some value add that I can provide. But you're right. I think if you're really looking at saving time and money, it's probably maybe once you already have a product that has traction and you're starting to have a lot of competing ideas, you have a lot more ways or opportunities to grow, and you're not sure which one to go after. And then it's like, okay, how do we take a structured approach to help you answer some of your key questions and your riskiest assumptions earlier? Because reality is, once you have a product, like 70% of the features you release are now going to like resonate with the users. And it takes quite a few iterations of a feature for it to actually land. So you want that time and those iterations to happen as quickly as possible. So then okay, version 5 has the impact that is actually worth investing engineering time in. So yeah, if you already have an MVP and you're looking at new ways to grow, attracting different types of customers or building alternative use cases or really looking at optimizing conversion or trying to get a lot more from your customers, like returning customers, that's a good time because it can help work with your teams.
One thing that happens to startups is they have a great idea and begin with coding and not checking how the product is going to be solving a problem in the market and how people is going to perceive your product. It is super important. And I think many companies get lost during that journey. What would be your advice for all these people that are starting with getting the idea on how they want to work on their product? What do you think will be the best for them to do the next steps?
I think I have to admit, building stuff is a lot of fun, especially now with no code, or especially now with AI, where you can actually build something relatively quickly if you wanted to. So I think there is a time and a place for ideating or doing innovation through building, but I think that's very costly and very risky if it's a startup. I think if you're already an established business, maybe you can, you know, but whatever you do, you're right. You have to have a problem that you're actually solving for your users. So the first really starting point is kind of working backwards and being like, okay, what exactly is the problem I'm solving for? And being very clear who in this whole world experiences this problem the most. And the reason why it's really, really important to have a clear target customer is go into the details of what do they do they work, um, what are their goals, what are they trying to achieve? Because the other thing that people, you have an idea and you're like, I'm going to solve it and it's going to be the best thing. Reality is people have a way in which they're currently solving the problem.
Mm-hmm.
It might not be tech. Majority of the, it could be something else, that they have a routine that they've put in place to solve that problem, or they have a workaround. They're not there being like, I can't do this, that's it, I'm never going to touch this. So the first step is talk to as many of those people that you think are experiencing or having the biggest pain and uncover the process. I
Mm-hmm.
think this is where techniques like jobs to be done, and when you're doing interviews, I think one of my is it like annoying things is, yes, do interviews, but have high quality questions and approach to it, and
Yeah.
really translate that conversation into insights. And I think the first thing you can do is translate those conversations into a bit of a journey map to be like, okay, my target user starts with this, and those are the steps they take currently to achieve the goal that my solution is also trying to do. And then you're like, what is my solution doing? Because ultimately, I think early on, even before you put any piece of code, you should be thinking about, will people pay for this?
Mm-hmm.
Bring the money in as well to be like,
Yeah.
okay, what does it need to do for people to pay for this? And a lot of the time it has to be like, solve the problem better, like more convenient, simpler. People need to kind of have a value exchange there, and cheaper than the current solution. Like, you have to be very clear, or is it so satisfying to do that? Great. And that's why I think the mapping of here's the current baseline, and then it's like, I want to build this thing. How is this better than all the competitors? Or how is it better than the
Yeah.
current solutions? Because this process is also going to help you identify key features of what you're going to build. So when people talk about ideas, I imagine it being like something quite round and quite big, but you don't
Uh-huh.
want that. You want something that is like has edges and has a shape. You want to really dive deep into understanding what feature, what sub problem is this solving? What exactly are they trying to do? You want to go deeper to understand, okay, what makes up this big idea?
MVP is not the end; it's just the beginning. So when you get your MVP, you have to think that this might grow, and then you need to enhance the product. You need to create more features for your product. So it's quite a long journey. And one question that comes to me at this moment is, can you help them through the whole process, or it's only during the MVP, or how is it that you can help a company when they have an MVP ready?
I think you're right. The MVP is definitely the beginning, and there's versions of it. I think if we're being really by the book, I think MVPs were intended to be any version that helps achieve the goal. So an MVP doesn't have to be a working software. It could be concierge, or it could be a facade to a lot of manual labor behind, or it could be basic prototypes that people are trying to achieve something. So as long have a version of the product that helps the person achieve the goal, and then validate if you're on the right path. Exactly is the beginning. And I think at the moment MVPs are kind of like the first working software, and it doesn't have to correlate. But how can I help? So I think if you already have a working software, so maybe you're further away than the prototypes and you have some working software, I think the help I can provide is around thinking through capturing user feedback. So like, how do you go about learning, is my MVP solving the problem? And you have a mix of quantitative data and qualitative data and your launch plan. And I think also there's a lot of value proposition testing. You have to test on, okay, who does this resonate with? When I think about idea validation, is the process is the same if you're doing it for a big thing for the first launch or you're uncovering new opportunities. You kind of go through very similar stages of being very close to the customer, really utilizing techniques to uncover unmet needs, mapping those, and then start validating through not just by building, but by prototypes or like quicker ways to just gain evidence on whether this solution is usable, this solution makes sense to them. So I think that doesn't stop after the MVP. The MVP is just the first one.
Agree.
And I think once you have the MVP, you can have two things to do. One, check the MVP is like working and is getting traffic and it's converting users or is helping them achieve that. And then also think about what should the next phase be. And when you think about the next phase, that's when you go through the same approach of problems, solutions. Which one should I prioritize? What shape is the right one?
Something that I really like about you when I was reading at your profile is the outputs to outcomes. I like that very much because it makes sense. Can you please, in your own words, what do you mean exactly by that?
Outputs are like exactly where we were chatting about, is like building features that people ask for or they have in their mind, just being focused on delivering. It's like, success looks like as if I delivered X, I delivered Y, I delivered ABC. Well, outcomes are about I delivered A, but A has driven X amount of impact against a metric. So the end goal is not building and delivering it. The end goal is, does this actually move the needle in terms of the business metrics? And by default, driving outcomes has layers of what are those business metrics? How does product support those business metrics? How does this solution A or the first version of solution A helps us? Oh, it doesn't. Okay, then we need to think about version B of this solution. So you don't give up until you see some impact. So the key is to track the impact, not just to deliver something put into the world.
Yeah, I agree with you because it has to be a product that we consumers are willing to pay for. It has to be something that I am ready to spend my money on because it's solving a problem for me or helping me feel better, or I don't know. But it has to be a product that people is willing to take the wallet out and spend the money on. And it's difficult to achieve, but however, it's not impossible. There are many products. I see when you go to any exhibition of new products, there are amazing products, but not all the products are reachable. I mean, you cannot find later all the products. It has to be how did you develop your own product to reach this massive market. And I know that you are also a growth strategy consultant. And I think that is part of what is next, right? How you grow your product to be reachable for people to know where to find it. And how will you advise companies to reach this goal? Now that you have an MVP that seems to be the right MVP, like seems to be solving a problem, and then you're ready, you're fit to market, to go to market, and how do you do the next thing?
Yes, it's true. And I think, coming back to it, it's a lot easier nowadays to build products. Distribution has become a lot harder. How do people know about you? And, attention span is so much shorter, and there's a lot of different solutions out there. So, and this is where I think, even the fact that you have the MVP and then you're looking for the market, I would say that if you were to really do it properly, you already have like a waiting list, or you already have like demand. You've already kind of established this, because you don't need an MVP to validate that you're going to be building something people want. You can do it with words, I guess. We're just telling them this is coming and this is what this is going to do, or create a video of it, or, and I think even in bigger companies, I remember when we were going to like build new features, we had to kind of, I think Amazon does this, where they think about their press release. So before they build something, they're like, well, what are you going to tell people about? Why would people care? Why would people in the business care? And that really pushes you to think about, well, how am I going to give this MVP, this thing, a life in the world? And that kind of has to be quite early if you want to be really successful. And different ways to do this. I think this is where, if you're B2C, marketing is very important. If you're B2B, sales is very important. And it's, as a product function, is really important to kind of have the right conversations and create ways of working where you're looking at those problems together of the distribution. And that's where the whole product-led sales comes in, because you don't want sales to go off and just sell anything. You want the product strategy to help sales, and sales to kind of give you an indication of what people resonate with. So I think, if you're looking for that growth, I think is around create the metrics that you common metrics between marketing and product, and then sales and product. What are those areas where you're going to collaborate on? And then coming back to the target audience, be like, what are the things they listen to? Where are they? How would you be able to reach them? And to be fair, I think, everyone has their own way of doing it. I know building a community and then launching your product to a existing community is a really good way to kind of leverage something you already have. But if you're starting completely new, I would say the reason why I say work with product and marketing is because your product needs to be optimized for the different journeys and the different target audiences. What you don't want is you go off and marketing does billboards and they bring in the wrong audience. The product doesn't resonate with them, and then you spend money so quickly, because I think you can spend so much money just on distribution channels without return on investment. So very targeted, and kind of take a very experimentation approach of like experiment for each channel, have the journey that people are going to go through, track the conversion, do loads of different A/B tests with everything, with your ads, with your emails, with different approaches. Like learning is going to be the key part of what resonates to whom. And then you're like, okay, optimizations come after you have some traction.
I agree with you, because sometimes you have a product that you believe is going to go to certain market. Because I was talking to to one of my guests, and he was saying that there was a company that was making security systems here in Poland, and when they went to sell this product in Latin America, they used it for completely a different thing that had nothing to do for what the product was created for. And so sometimes you believe you are solving one thing, and you are, but your market becomes something entirely different. Does had anything like that ever happen to you or any of your customers?
No, I've been in companies that are like UK first, and then they launched in different markets, but
Mm-hmm.
they went for a very like a similar audience type with the same needs. I can see how launching to a new market is going to be a lot more obvious because like they have their own ways they're solving the problems, and I think that comes back to the same user research of how are they currently solving this, and how would your product come in? But after you launch the MVP, just check, talk to people. Definitely check it.
Yeah,
Don't look
I
just at the numbers because they don't mean much. Is it? You have to go in and be like, how do you use this to uncover some of those new ways of doing it?
I agree. I think that you really have to go out, like really have to approach people and talk to people and leave being shy. Many people who start doing their own products is introvert people who works in their ideas. They need to develop. I think this skill to just be bold and ask questions. Don't you think?
I think no, I agree, and I would say if you are as you mentioned, if you're like introvert, you're actually in a better place to do it because I think it's around the curiosity more than the boldness. I think obviously it takes courage to like go and ask people questions, but I would say have a way in which they get some value at the end of it so that you make that conversation less awkward in terms of getting their interest. But when you're actually chatting, listening is the key thing you're going to be doing anyway. So actually, there's a lot less talking. You just have your key questions and then you listen a lot to what people are trying to do and how they're going about it. So I think it should be to us, yeah, people's advantage if you're more quiet. But it can be, you have to drag answers out of people. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's a technique and the only way to get better at this is practice.
The only way we get better at anything is by screwing up and trying again and trying again. And this brings me to the next question to you is what made you do what you're doing today? What was your motivation to do this?
You mean be a product manager?
Yes, why? But now you're trying to help companies because you can easily continue working for a big company, but you decided to go beyond that. And what is your motivation?
One of the things, I think that we're in a very, very changing landscape and it's a very interesting time. Again, from that curiosity and analysis point of view, it's very interesting. From living it, there's like, what is going on? But I think for me was I want to always have a big impact. And I always ask myself the question of in what scenario am I going to learn the most in the next year? And I felt that by taking all this knowledge that I can see by being a mentor to startups, it can really help accelerate their growth and really help the way they think about problems. So I realized I can have a wider impact, and setting up my own business has been such a interesting journey. So all of it, my motivation comes from growth, personal growth, but also I think product management is still very young and there's a lot of shaping to happen. And I just want to be at the forefront of change more than executing it. So my vision is to help shape the next generation of products. And I thought by working with the people building those products and help get people thinking more around the product mindset and the principles behind it, they could actually build higher quality and actually, ultimately build products that customers love and solves their real problems.
And what have you learned on this journey? I think it has been a double journey for you. It's a journey of self discovery, who you really are, where you are, and the journey of being with other people and helping other people.
What did I learn? I learned a lot of things, I have to admit. Um, okay, so personally, I kind of learned the biggest difference between like full-time employment and being, self-employed. One of them is as a product manager, you have a lot of decisions to make and everything is moving at speed because you have stakeholders, you have teams, and that's a big part of why I love it. You have so much influence and you have to shape things and you have loads of problems to solve. That gives you a lot of dopamine because like every day I'll solve like so many problems. Like
Yeah.
bang bang, yeah, this is it, this is
Yeah.
that one. No, don't do that. Yep, do the other one. It's great. But here it's a delay. That you delay the gratification of knowing if you're on the right path. I'm
Yeah.
like, I have to do a lot of things, but I have to continuously do it for a bit of time before I know if I'm on the right path or before I get the results from it. And I think that's been very hard to get my head around. I miss the craziness. And on the other side, I guess from helping people and startups, I learned about the importance of high performing teams. As a PM, I would always do that as part of the culture that you build with the team is, okay, you do the decisions, but you want to bring everyone together around that story and like create a loads of small habits in which I can get people closer to the product or to caring. And then how do you kind of drive innovation? Because innovation is like a really fancy word, but it comes from a lot of day-to-day habits and the information, the context you set with people in your team. So you empower them and you give them the information so then they come up with a better way of doing it. But that actually takes a lot of time. So I realized that that can be a gap in a lot of companies. And I would love to help with that.
I think that the word team is super important when you work with a company, with a startup. A team is the one who's going to get you over any obstacle, or is the one who's going to stop you from being successful. And integration is super important, and working in harmony, but I think it's also difficult to achieve. Have you have any uh, um, experiences with teams that they didn't pull together, or that they were not able to overcome their differences, and that resulted in the product not being successful?
I'm lucky to say that I had a lot of teams that were bringing together because I think it's a
That's
lot
great.
of understanding the motivations of everyone in the team, and I think this is where the outcomes come in, because if you're focusing on let's deliver X, people's involvement in innovation or pulling together is a lot less because they're like, great, we have to deliver X by this date. They don't have as much of a buy-in into it. But
Yeah.
when you're looking into, well, we try to solve this problem for this user, and then this problem is worth this much money, and we need to solve it in the quickest way possible. And if version A doesn't work, we need to pull together to come up with a new version. Has a different way of landing with people. So I think that's always useful. That's why I do those changes together. No, I have had teams that like been really hard to get them out of their habits. And I think that could be a lot around how do people feel about the wider business and their ability to, feel like they can have an impact. I think the morale is one of the ones that could make or break an innovative
Yeah.
team. And it can be out of your control as a PM as well.
I think for all of us, when you start your own business, when you are alone against the whole world, and you are learning, like sometimes you go to bed and you're appalled, like I'm starting to look for a job, but yeah, it's you have to go on, right?
Yes, I think as a solopreneur or like business owner, yes, it's like a next level. I thought I experienced it enough as a PM in full-time employment, but there's
No,
like
no.
new heights.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I thought, yes. Yeah, I bet you sometimes you go to bed like, oh my God, what did I do today? What happened? And this is what you are doing is doesn't only apply for companies, it applies
yeah,
for us, the people who are doing our business. Because we the product is us. I mean, you are your own product.
yeah,
You are your MVP. You and you have to evolve to be better and offer better results. And so it's a constant learning, and yeah, it can be challenging, right?
yeah, yeah. I think you're right around the motivation. I think one of the things that you have to be really clear is like, what is your personal why? What are those things that you can get energy pulls that you could like when it's so down, what would actually be
Yeah.
like, what, I'm going to come back at it tomorrow stronger. And, for anyone that wants to transition into setting up their own business, um, I would say, yeah, I would say don't do it because you don't like the 9 to 5. I feel like it has to have,
Yeah.
I think a lot of entrepreneurs were saying, I was listening to them, it's like it could come from you want to show people something, like it can come from like a negative turn into positive. But I would say it has to be something that will give you energy. For me, it has to be positive. For me, it has to be value add and impactful and, um, give me more freedom to actually be worth it. Um, I just don't think it could be 9 to 5 is enough for me. Not sure why, but I just don't want to do it because you won't have the resilience to.
Yeah. Exactly. I think we all the people we are doing this, we are not 9 to 5. And Diana, what is it that motivates you every day to keep on going?
Well, I think it's like as I was saying about the why. I mean, I so I was very fortunate because I pretty much started my career. Well, I've been given this opportunity of learning about product in the sense that Marty Kagan's talking about and like all these other people. And I was always trying to like learn about this concepts, talk to the users, push back to stakeholders, bring them all together. I just love the approach, the openness of it, the honesty of it, the focus on impact.
Mhm.
Um, so I've kept pushing on it. And 2 years ago, I started sharing on YouTube about, just talking about product concepts. So I just love doing this. I think it's such a great mindset. And
Yeah.
now I want to take on a mission to be like, because I know as an individual in a company, my influence is limited to the teams I work with. So I want to be like, now if I go as an external person, can I actually help teams work better together, have the right setup, or founders think through product in a more structured way? So when they hire all these people, they are able to empower them to a
Yeah.
way they get the benefit. So because I love it, and now I found a way to have a bigger impact, I'm like, okay, this is the way to go. What else motivates me? I have to admit, I love creating content, but since it's been so closely linked to my business, it's like took some of the joy away from it. But I try to just take it away and be like, no, still like talking about something. Maybe this is in my motivations. If I can make money just talking to people, I think I'm going to be really happy. That's it. That's just make money through talking. It's my
That,
goal.
which is amazing because I mean you have the opportunity to learn also. I mean, I think the one who teaches is the one who learns the most because
Mm.
you need to prepare yourself for what are you going to teach so you get more involved in that topic, and so at the end you are the one who learns, and also you have the opportunity when you talk to people to share ideas, new points of view, which is amazing. Yeah, I totally agree with you. And it is the magic of networking, right? I mean, just doesn't really have to be only for business. It can be also to grow your network to because you never know when. Oh, I remember this guy was doing this and this guy was doing that, and now I can they can help me with this and they can help me with that. So that's the magic of networking. I totally agree with you.
And this
Yeah.
is what I find, that's kind of coming back to the whole delayed gratification, because when you're in a job, I always, my way of influence was, well, we're all trying to make money to this company, so
Exactly.
let's work out the way to do it. But now you don't have an overall context that everyone has a what is it called? Like they have some shared interest in. We don't have the same interest, because I can't say that, oh yes, if we don't do this, then the money that pays us our salary is not going to, the company is not going to make money. That's not the case. So
Yeah.
it's less about the, let's get stuff done now. And it's about the relationships you're building that will take time, and you don't know where anything is going to kind of take you. You just
Yeah.
want to give 110% to every conversation and build connections and provide as much value as you can, help people, and then at some point it comes back to you, which is
I
very
agree.
different
Yeah.
approach.
I
But
totally agree with you. Yes.
it's very
Diana,
interesting.
thank you. Thank you so much. I have two last questions for you.
Okay, nice.
The first one is, what comes next for Diana? What is next for you?
What's next for me? I'm putting together a 8-week program on ideation. I really want to take teams from kind of working in sequence and handing things over to each other to working collaboratively together around problem space and the solution space, and how do you test things early and so on. And I'm looking for some beta testers,
Mm-hmm. Good.
some companies that have, one or two teams, and they want to take their product development to the next level. Because, as I said, I learn a lot more by working with the teams. So
Mm-hmm.
if I have this beta, I could then understand, well, what does it practically look like, and what are some of the on the ground challenges? Because consulting is great, but I want to make it more tangible. I want
Yeah.
people to truly understand. I'm not a consultant that's going to come in and be like, 5 years later, you're like, how many problems? I mean, if it's providing value, great. I want the companies to understand, if I involve you here in 3 months, I'm going to move from A to B. I'm going to be a lot clearer, or like a lot more data driven.
Mm-hmm.
Our quality of decisions will be better. Our teams will be working better together. So that's why I want to put this program together and test it out.
Oh, great. So this is an open invitation, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah,
Reach
there
out
is a
if you're
team there who,
interested.
yes, yes, that's amazing. And the last question for you, will be okay for you if I put your LinkedIn profile for people that want to get in touch with you, learn with
Of
you,
course.
ask you questions?
Yeah, of course. I'm always open to chatting to people. Yeah, you can have my LinkedIn, and you'll also be able to see that I offer a free 30-minute
Yeah.
discovery chat.
Yes. Yes.
And as you can see, I'll probably be able to provide as much value as I can in those 30 minutes. And also you can check out my website, dmthepm.com. So
Good. Yes, we'll do that. I'll put it there, and I'll take your link from the 30 minutes and put it in the link so people
okay,
can reach you easily.
nice.
Diana, it was a pleasure talking to you. Really, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it, and yeah, I hope your listeners got some valuable information from the
Yeah,
session.
yeah, me
And
too.
yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you, Diana. And very, very nice seeing you.